Hello everyone, this is HGS here back some more Starcraft 2 Heart of the Swarm 1v1 action. This time it's going to be between EG's JYP up in the top left side. No, his name is not JYPRC. That is also the end of their clan tag, as it is one of their sponsors. And down to the bottom right side, it is going to be Liquid TLO. So it is going to be a classic EG versus TL. The reason I say classic is because, honestly, these are two of the most well-known teams in StarCraft esports, and especially in the foreign scene outside of Korea. These two teams are amongst the biggest and the most successful, to be quite honest. Now, this is going to be a very interesting matchup. Number one, this is from Dreamhack. I want to give a mad shout out to everyone at Dreamhack. Number one, they invite me to cast Dreamhack every single year. I haven't been able to make it, unfortunately. Number two, they run an extremely awesome tournament. They have a great format, lots of games, lots of good players, lots of chance for upcomers. And number three, esports, man. Basically, any tournament that's going to be supporting esports and putting lots of money in esports is amazing to me, in my opinion. So anyways, this is going to be from good old Dreamhack. We are going to be having a Forge expand go down. I do want to talk about this map just really quick. Your natural right here, the entrance to your natural is actually quite large. One of the differences here is that how the ramp is actually really difficult to get back here to defend your mineral line. So running units back and forth, I mean, look how far these mineral lines are away from each other. Considering that this is your natural, it's supposed to be your easy to defend base there. So defending it versus air units can be very, very tough. The reason I say that, Phoenix and Mutalisks both very viable in this matchup, so we could be seeing that. That does look like JYP going to go ahead and block this expansion right away. Now, for TLO, this isn't necessarily going to throw him off of his game. It definitely prevents him from being able to expand right there. Does he decide to throw down the hatchery right away, or is he going to go for a queen? Oh, the probe right there is going to go ahead and actually block that, albeit barely. It does look like we're going to have a little duel right now. Keep in mind that drones actually regenerate HP in combat, while probes do not. And now this will bug TLO a little bit because that expansion is going to be delayed. However, JYP did allow this pylon to complete, and the hatchery will go down anyways. So the pylon is going to be delaying it, and the important thing right now for JYP is that he knows that TLO is going to go for another expand here. The chances that TLO is not going to get a third base up right now and is just going to two-base it off of these awkwardly placed bases is very, very slim. Even with the drone down here punching the pylon, it makes it very obvious as to what TLO's plan is. Now, as Protoss, you really want to dictate the pace of the game. I know I talked this about the pendulum swinging back and forth in this matchup, but just know it starts swinging as soon as the game itself starts. Is that completely walled in tight? We'll find out as these Lings try to run by. Oh, I don't think they can actually get in there. The reason he did that, if you're wondering why he dropped a pylon here, is he knew that his cannon was not going to be done in time. Yep, I was going to say right there, you can go ahead and cancel that and be good to go. TLO got to go ahead and escape with that overload. Now, I actually want to talk about these players a little bit. I've been basically talking about the game because it actually got underway quicker than this matchup normally does with the proxy pylon and the cancel on his own pylon. But number one, JYP is a Korean player. Obviously, he is on Team EG, and his biggest winnings ever was the World Esports Masters 2012. He won $8,000 there. Not bad whatsoever. $23,000 won overall. I think TLO almost has him beat as far as overall earnings are concerned. And I want to say that so far, a fun fact about TLO, so far this year, of course, we're about 5-6 months into the year. I've been kind of keeping track a little bit. My God, the year's flying by. But anyways, we're about halfway through the year. TLO has already been more successful in 2013 than he was in 2012. Now, why is that? Well, his training regimen, I think, is really starting to kick in. He's been really doing mental exercises, physical exercises, and really thinking about the game in a different way. And guess what? He's becoming much more successful for it. He's becoming a lot more inventive, a lot more creative, and is really kind of shining the TLO that we all know and love from kind of way back in the day. So it's good to see him in tip-top form. He's literally playing the best StarCraft of his life right now, which is very difficult for a player to do. You know, the longer their career goes on, if they were successful in the past, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain that level of success. One thing that a lot of ex-pro Korean players have said in interviews and all that, way back in the I'm talking back in Brood War days, is that they would become successful, get used to the fame and the fortune and all that, and you know, everything comes naturally to them because they're so good, and they would get a little bit lazy and then start to slip up, and then once you slip, it's almost impossible to catch back up because you've lost that very valuable time in mastering the game again. So that's something you will see a lot of players do. I think in any sport, really, it definitely is very respectable for players to continue to stay so good for so many years. So got to hand to TLO. JYP, though, has been quite good for quite some time, and we don't really see him play for Team EG all that much. At least I haven't seen too many of his games recently, so I'm kind of curious to see exactly how he plays in this game. So now that I'm done talking about the players, now that I'm done talking about the openings that they did just a little bit, let's talk about their builds here. We actually have a Baneling nest coming up for TLO. The reason I emphasize it like that is Baneling's not as common in this matchup anymore. I mean, there was a phase where we saw Bane Rain being extremely effective against Protoss, because if you think about it, what is the best counter that Protoss has to Zergling and Banelings in the mid game? Force fields. Colossus don't really come into effect just yet. However, if you load the Banelings up into the Overlords, then there's really no way to stop them from raining down your parade, quite literally. So we'll have to wait and see if that does come into effect, or if he's just going to be going for lots of Banelings. Now, TLO is showing that he has a lot of Zerglings. Oh, that sentry right there. Getting a little nervous. Now, TLO did force the force field there, and that's actually going to be really, really good for him. Keeping that energy low is crucially important, especially if he goes for some sort of Baneling bust. Oh my god, I think he actually is. He does have 6 Banelings on the way right now. This is something that is not common these days, and considering that JYP is actually going for Phoenix here, I think... Oh, is it going to get scouted? Is it going to get scouted? Yes, yes it does. The Phoenix right here knows what's up. Are there more reinforcing Phoenix to help out? Yes, there are 2 coming in here. The Banelings got to try and run directly in there. He actually needs to run those Banelings immediately, otherwise he's going to lose them to the Phoenix. These are the absolute ideal units to pick up. You can see the units lost right now is actually going to really suck for TLO. There are a couple Banelings that be running in there. But they all get picked up and locked down. Now, if TLO actually would have just ran those into the wall right here, what was that? Is he canceling cannons? I think that was canceling cannons, as he realized that this was by no means an all-in. I mean, take a look at the units tab. 65 drones on the back of this. TLO is literally just morphing these in front of JYP. I almost feel like he wants JYP to be picking up these Banelings. I almost feel like he's forcing those Phoenix. I want to call them abducts, but they're not abducts. That's going to be from the Viper. The Graviton Beam right here. See, it costs 50 energy, and the Phoenix, as soon as they spawn, they don't really have that much energy. So yeah, they can do maybe 1 or 2 Graviton Beams, but past that, he's not going to be able to harass drones. So we do have Spore Crawlers on the way. I think TLO is a little bit late on those, so he's going to end up losing a Queen or 2 right now, and he does actually decide to get a Spire here. Now, you may be scratching your head and going, well, why would a Zerg player get a Spire if he's going up against Phoenix? Well, you got to remember that Phoenix, just because you see 4 Phoenix does not mean your opponent is fully committed to going for Sky Toss. And the reason that that's important is because, number 1, Corruptors are going to be really good versus Phoenix anyway, and they're good versus Colossus. But number 2, there's actually timings where you can anti-counter the Phoenix with mutas, if that makes sense. Normally you would expect the Phoenix to win those straight-on engagements, but really, switching to Mutalisk can be really good, really good, especially if they are backed up by Hydralisk here. We'll see if this Spire comes into effect or not. I think it may be a transition into a Hydra Corruptor, which could prove to be quite effective. He is working on the +1 attack. He's also got Hydra range on the way. No, so he does not have the muscular augments just yet. There's going to be an attack down here. Lots of Zealots going to be attacking. This is actually a ridiculous amount of Zealots. He knows Phoenix right here. They're trying to intercept the Hydras because he knows that those are going to be the units to try and save the expansion right now. Hydras do spawn. The drones actually engaging here. This is a bold move by TLO. Got to be taking a lot of damage to those drones, but decides to finally go ahead and get them back to mining. Lots of Zerglings being sacrificed here. We'll see in just a moment how this actually shaped up when all was said and done. You can see that TLO is actually losing a lot more than JYP right now. And honestly, I would say JYP might be the favorite to win this series. Number 1, just because he's Korean. Number 2, he has a lot of practice partners in EG. And number 3, I guess actually JYP hasn't been doing that great this year. Now that I think about it, there hasn't really been any major tournaments that he's won or anything like that. So maybe TLO, if he is continuing to be in tip-top shape in this series, then he might actually be the favorite here. I might have to revoke that statement, redact that statement. Although TLO's creep spread could use a little bit of work, at least in this game right now. He has absolutely no creep spread here. And considering that he's going to be going for a lot of Hydras, yes, you can get the Hydra speed, which does make them move quicker off of creep, but still having that creep, number 1, for vision, number 2, for Zerglings, number 3, just for everything. It just moves, it all moves faster on creep. So getting that creep spread is of dire importance right now, though. TLO's saying, I don't really care about creep spread. Not that big of a fan of creep spread. Got to be completely lost right now. Looks like the Phoenix right there. Got to be careful. We'll be able to focus down one Phoenix and accidentally clicks on the rocks there, which is going to end up costing him another Phoenix as well. Now, at this point, the Phoenix are not that useful, but later on, they will be. As soon as these Colossus start to spawn, we got 1 now out. We have a second one on the way, and 10 drones actually going to be on the way for TLO right now, so he should be in pretty good shape as far as his economy is concerned. We do have the +2 attack for missiles. as Total Biscuit likes to say. But anyways, we do have lots of Lings and Hydras over here, but not enough to engage this army directly. There's going to be a counterattack over here, trying to get the army out of position. Can the Warpin of Zealots actually help out? Oh god, they died before that began. And at the same time, though, there's going to be a big engagement over here. Force Field's going to be delaying these units here. Time Warp as well. Nothing's getting through there. But the Nexus actually falls. Oh my god, a two-pronged attack there to distract JYP. And the interesting thing here is that this army was basically in position to be able to defend that. There is going to be a counterattack over here, possibility of a warp in. Probably not going to happen here as that pylon does get spotted. However, that is going to get TLO out of position. So TLO playing a positioning game right now, and JYP coming out ahead here at this stage, but definitely ended up losing that third base, which honestly for Protoss at this stage is all about getting your third base up, and we currently just do not see that for JYP. I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw down a third base on the back of this. Are these the Phoenix? What are they doing way out of position? They need to be in position to start picking up these Hydralisks. But remember what I was saying before, that there needs to be Corruptors on the field here for TLO, and as soon as the Colossus pop out, that's exactly what he's going to do. And you can see 2 Colossus on the field, 8 Corruptors. That's going to be a pretty good balance right there. Now, if one player overcommits to Colossus or one player overcommits to Corruptors, that's going to be bad for either the Protoss or the Zerg based on the situation. Because now it's moving into the next phase, where the Protoss really has 2 options here. Going to be using a Warp Prism for harassment, or going for some sort of splash damage. Whether it's going to be Psystorm, whether it's going to be Archons, you got to start phasing out these Colossus, because if you are not going to a pure Sky Toss ball, then you are not going to get air superiority whatsoever versus the amount of Corruptors that you're going to be going up against. So normally what you see is either Archons, Psystorm, or some sort of aerial harassment. We do see the Warp Prism going to be moving to the front line, but I got to say that JYP's still stuck on 2 bases here, and that's why his army looks so terrifying, but it also might be why he's going to really struggle here if he ends up losing this army. Yes, he's going to be focusing on the Corruptors, but really killing those Corruptors doesn't matter. If he's only got 2 Colossus and he can't kill all the Corruptors before the Colossus die, then really killing those Corruptors, there's no point, because those Corruptors are not going to be Broodlords anytime soon. I guess he actually does have a relatively early Greater Spire on the way. Third base is actually going to go down here for TLO. I thought he might have been able to hold this off, but he's actually down to 2 bases as the 3rd and 4th have been eliminated. Hydras now for TLO. Got to try to engage. This is not a good angle. He will be able to take out the Colossus, but he is going to end up losing a lot of those Corruptors. At the same time, though, he's got a pretty sick concave at the top of the ramp. I think he's getting a little bit low on energy. He needs to make sure to continue throwing down the force fields here to prevent those units from retreating, or he just engaging the army directly, but is unable to do so. The Stalkers right now do not have Blink. That means he has got to do a full-on preemptive retreat. No, he decides to go for it. If he wants to kill these drones, he wants to kill them so bad. The force fields, not in time. Not enough energy on the sentries in the front. He would have loved to kill off those drones. That would have been able to put him so far ahead. I think he's feeling a little too confident right now, though, because he is at a worker disadvantage. Overall income is the same because it is still 2 fully saturated bases apiece. But right now, JYP is stuck on gateway units, because think about it. There's a lot of Corruptors in the air. Broodlords are not going to be on the way. I guess it is now only 3 Corruptors there, but we do have the Broodlords on the way, 3 on the way. And honestly, if TLO goes for Sky Zerg, is that what we're going to call it? Yes, Sky Zerg. If he starts going for Sky Zerg, he's actually going to have air superiority, because his Broodlords are going to be able to keep the Stalkers away for the most part, just because Broodlings are super annoying. And with no Blink, I think it's a huge oversight by JYP. I mean, I know he's low on bases, but going up against these early Broodlords could prove to be quite disastrous. I'm going to be completely honest. It's going to be really, really tough for him to deal with that. And apparently, oh, he has to have, where is his Mothership Core? That's what I was saying. I was like, he has to have a Mothership Core somewhere. He does at his natural. Looks like he's going to be leaving it there for the Photon Overcharge as opposed to using it for the Mass Recall, which I think using it for the Mass Recall might actually be the better choice right now. Just look at the Zergling time moving out here. Of course, Zergling speed, always a viable threat. Even with no upgrades on these Lings, it can be frustrating to have this many Lings in your mineral line. Oh god, if he loses that third base again, this is going to be absolutely devastating. Now, the Nexus is about halfway done, so he shouldn't end up losing that, although it is completely surrounded here. You have TLO realizes he's got to get out of there. The Zerglings dying in unison from the Protoss zapping beams of death, which are not fun for Zerglings. Ultras can handle them, but Zerglings definitely cannot. We do finally have a 3rd and 4th base on the way for TLO. Notice how TLO is opting to take the expansion on the right side. I think that's actually a little bit easier for him to defend. I am honestly surprised at the lack of creep spread this game. I mean, really, he just refuses to creep spread. And it's not that it's I don't know, it's not that it's bad. It's just that it makes it so much easier for Zerg to have map presence, map control, and to be able to defend those locations if you have such good map, or creep spread, excuse me. So surprised to see that out of TLO. However, TLO is more focused on getting these very fast Broodlords. The reason I say fast Broodlords is think about how much of the economy TLO has actually lost in this game, and the fact that he's actually able to get them out right now is huge. Zell right there gets the army out of position, forces the cancel there. It is now going to be a throw. Ooh, these drones have got to get back to work immediately. Everything that goes by TLO is going to be losing a little bit of money here. JYP, though, really positioning himself to be in a great spot. I mean, look at the supplies, 198 to 166. We should have another pylon on the way just so we can warp in an extra zealot or something like that so we can get that 200 supply. But right now, TLO's really, he's bleeding about as much as this extractor is here, man. He's definitely got to pull it together. He's got to start putting those band-aids on. And I honestly think the band-aid is in form or in the shape of Corruptor or Broodlord. I think that's going to be the best option for him right now, especially since there is no blink yet. I mean, it is on the way. Still not chrono boosting that out right now. He does not have blink on these stalkers. I think being this aggressive without blink is not a good idea versus Broodlords against the high ground. You got to be able to blink away. You got to be able to blink into those to be able to take them out. TLO playing a very old school style of Broodlord. I mean, it's changed a little bit, but the Turtle Broodlord style is definitely something that is extremely old school. We don't see it that much in Heart of the Swarm anymore. It does look at right now. The Colossus is going to be able to clean that up. Blink is going to be done here. It's going to be so tough for TLO, especially now that we're starting to see Void Rays mixed in. I mean, the amount of Blink Stalkers we're seeing here actually has me a little bit worried because there's no Archons to kill Corruptors, and, I mean, to be quite honest, Mass Blink Stalker is not that good in the late stages of a PvZ. So his unit composition might be a little bit off. Ooh, those Zelts do not want to go in there. Especially since TLO, he's sitting back, he's like, all right, come to me. Go ahead, try and make it happen. A couple Stalkers are going to blink inside the main base. These are basically sacrificial Stalkers. Like I was saying, he has a few too many. So losing them might actually be for the better here. And he's got to try and take out a Queen. He does get it. And he's got to be delaying these drones that are mining gas. There's only about 1,200 gas left inside the main base. That hatchery's not going to go down. TLO will be able to clean that up. And there could be a positioning of these units here against the Broodlords. I think Mass Void Ray is actually the way to go here. It's kind of tough still because JYP, I mean, he's got a big supply lead. He's happily sitting on this third base. But the main problem is that there's no Psy Storms to deal with the Hydras. There's no Archons to deal with the Zerglings or the Corruptors. And there's just a lack of high-tech units other than just a couple of Colossus. I mean, I really think that JYP, he had a maxed out army and he was in great shape. But without Storm, those Void Rays are not going to be nearly as effective. So I think TLO actually made the right choice here in being more timid, trying to expand when he gets the option to. He's creep spreading a little bit manually with Overlords, though. This has been the laziest creep tumor I think I've ever seen, man. He refuses to do anything for several minutes. And you can see right here that this is where the creep spread would become very viable. Your Broodlings are going to run faster. Your Hydras can defend those Broodlords much easier. Now, right now, this angle is actually looking really good for TLO. What are you doing, Sentries? You got to get out of there. As he does use Guardian Shield there to try and save them. But those Sentries were full on energy, but not today. Now, again, that is freeing up more supply. And you can see that JYP is dumping those immediately into Void Rays. So losing a couple Sentries here and there, that's not actually going to be a game breaker. What is a game breaker, though, I feel like is no Psy Storm. 1 or 2 Swarms of these Hydras would be the end of TLO, but TLO actually has the perfect competition for what he's going up against, so that is basically all it takes. Photon Overcharge is going to be used here, but it's just pure Hydra Broodlord at this point, and I feel like, again, JYP does not have the right unit composition. Yes, Void Rays are good. Yes, Colossus are good, but the Broodlords are going to prove to be better right now. No Tempest as well, which is why you don't normally see Broodlords this late. JYP, I think, is just playing a way too old-school style of PvZ here, as TLO's backed into a corner, which is normally bad for Zerg, but actually favoring TLO at this stage of the game. Remember how far behind TLO was behind in supply, excuse me. Well, now he has tied this up in a big way. 137 to 120. He does blink for it to try and kill it off, but guess what? TLO is out for blood. He's actually going to be able to kill out this third base, and that just shows you the importance of having the right units for both of these races. TLO realizing, all right, there's Void Rays and there's Stalkers. I can actually take that on with the Broodlord Hydra. Think about it. Hydra is good versus Stalkers and Void Rays. The Broodlord's good at keeping those Stalkers away from the Hydras, and now all of a sudden it looks like it's going to be long distance mining. Is there a Nexus up? It's only about halfway done. That's going to be, oh god, these Lings over here, spot this. These poor helpless probes. Unfortunately for oh god, those probes. Get out of there, probes. You want to get out of there. One splash damage from a Baneling would have been ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous right there. But we'll just have to wait and see if JYP can pull this one back in, kind of wrangle it back down to the ground, because he actually was ahead for a long time he was in great shape, but I gotta say TLO's old school Broodlord, and again, the Hydras are kind of a new school thing just because they have the speed upgrade and all that, but the idea of getting Broodlords and protecting them on the ground is definitely an old school style. It's been around for a very long time. The reason you don't see Broodlords versus Protoss that much, one unit, the Tempest. Really, the Tempest's role was to kind of break up the turtle style of Zerg. TLO, though, finding a way to make it work. There's going to be a minor attack over here. The one Zealot. His job, kill all of TLO's base. We'll see if he can actually do that. Actually, I mean, honestly, warping in a couple units here would be great, but guess what? He can't. He's not going to. He has no other base. I mean, all he has left is this army. He's trying to find a way to engage TLO, but he's really got to go for a base race. That's actually the only option. It does look like this base did get taken out in the midst of all that chaos, but honestly, he has to go for a base race. That's the only way. He has to scare TLO into defending and try to expand on the back of that, because if he does not, that's it. It's over. It's GG, because he's only got a couple of Void Rays left. Taking a look at the unit tab right now, 9 Void Rays here and 5 Stalkers. I think he just lost a Colossus as well, just adding insult to injury. TLO, I mean, both their income is not looking great. They're both under 600. As I say that, of course, TLO goes above 600. But he's not really mining off of a base. Both players are long distance mining. This is not going to be pretty. I mean, he needs to focus down the Broodlords. The Hydra's actually out of position here to protect those. But the Void Rays, they can't kill this many Hydras. That's going to be it. I feel like JYP has ended up losing this game. Wait, is he actually going to win this battle? Void Rays are really, really good. So I should never count them out until the last Void Ray is actually dead, which is not going to happen. I mean, what's he going to do with like 1 or 2 Void Rays? Not a whole lot. This is not Bronze League Heroes. We're not going to be seeing 1 hero Void Ray win this game for JYP. I mean, just look at the supplies. They are double for TLO. Overall units right now, only 1 Hydra. There are the 7 Broodlords, so I guess he does need to make... Oh, actually, this game's kind of close right now. He doesn't have a whole lot of anti-air on the field, but again, this is why JYP... Oh, that sucks. He ended up losing that. This is why JYP needed to force the base race, because he can't long his mind. There's going to be the GG. TLO about to get his own base up and running, and would have been just fine. I mean, overall, just you know what? Look at this. There was a Templar Archives on the way. Overall army supply. I mean, it was definitely favoring TLO, but if JYP in that last engagement, what was his? I'm kind of curious. What was his army supply during that? I mean, he definitely kind of threw that army away. Was it this one? I think this was one of the last battles. I want to take a look really quick, see how much gas he actually had in the bank at this moment, because when he lost this army, it would have been great to have those Archons. I mean, he's going to have a lot of gas here. He would have had like 5 Archons, I think. So I really feel like JYP, he honestly made a lot of the mistakes that I would make. Like, number 1, engaging this army without having all this money spent is something that really, really sucks. So right here, let's go ahead and pause this. Now, remember how close this battle actually was? The Void Rays would have been able to kill all the Broodlords. That's not a problem. And he actually ended up winning versus the Archons, or excuse me, versus the Hydralisks with the Void Rays. There was, I think, like, what, 2 Void Rays left after he killed the last Hydra. So if he would have had Archons in this mix, then the Archons would have just beefed through the Hydras. I feel like, if nothing else, they would have killed the Broodlings and a couple of the Zerglings there as well, and he would have won that much more one-sidedly. And if we take a look at the army supply, 76 to 50, he would have had the unit composition advantage. And if we take a look at the unit stat here, 49 drones to 35. And at this stage, actually, the less workers, the better when it goes to comparing the army supplies or the overall supplies there. So I think that if he would have done that, he would have been okay. But JYP definitely making some mistakes, but it's good, it is great, and it is exciting to see TLO in tip-top shape. I'm telling you, man, this year for him so far. Let me see if I can actually, bring it up over here. I actually had it brought up. TLO, and yeah, he has won a lot of money this year so far. That is great. So good to see him playing so well. I always look forward to more TLO games, so give some love for TLO down below. I know for a fact that anytime I cast his games, he always checks it out, so definitely go say hi to TLO. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.